Hello,
Hi,
and hey Ivo, and hello everybody. Thanks for tuning into ADC Live. My name is Misha, and I'm here with Ivo talking about roles today. Ivo, how are you doing today?
great. Well, I just wanted to say hello to everybody who is watching this right now live or even later on today. And I wanted to remember everyone that if you want, you can leave a comment on the event today using LinkedIn. We will be seeing your messages directly during the show, and we will try to answer your questions. And if you are watching the replay, just leave a comment on the LinkedIn event. We will be able to answer your questions even after. Okay, so we are here for you, and I hope that you enjoy this ADC Live.
That's a really great call out. Thanks, Ivo. I know I wasn't here last week, but I heard you did a great job in lieu of my absence. So I appreciate and I appreciate everybody's feedback who actually said that. That was very important for you to leave feedback. So we have a very busy agenda. First, we start with our pro tip of the week, what we're excited about. Then we have an ADC live trivia, specifically about roles. So stay tuned for that one. Let's see how well how well you know the use case for roles. And then we're going to go a little bit about the governance overview, then deep dive into roles themselves, building the roles, managing roles, and finally we'll close up with what's next in topics. So first, pro tip of the week, and this is actually I think it's relevant for content governance in general. So this is a really nice modification that LumApps did in one of the last releases, which is now you have the last modified date directly in LumApps' metadata widget. So the metadata widget, as you know, has a lot of different features. It shows you the author, the publication date, the tags, metadata, etc. And now the LumApps added a new feature called last update date. So as you can see here, it's actually very simple. If you go to any of the pages where you have metadata, let's say I'll choose something from News Center, and let's anything that kind of has something here. Let's see while it loads. So here's publication date. And if you edit, this is the metadata widget, which has the author and the relevant metadata for the author, as well as for the content. If I click advanced, now I have this new last update date. Click on that, and you'll see when this content was last modified, which is a really great add-on. So that's a very easy one. What we're excited about is, so we mentioned this before, we have an org chart widget. And the use case here is really just, let's say you have a department page, functional page, and you want to bring in the org chart from that individual department, starting from the leader of that department or that group, business group, and you want to show everybody who reports up to that leader. But you want to build it dynamically using the LumApps org chart that's natively built into the product. So just as a recap, so right now today, if you go to, let's say, my profile, and you click on the user, and the user, you see the reporting structure and the user inside the user profile itself. You see who the user reports up to and who's under them, right? So that's out of the box. Now what we did was we really took this module and we widgetized it into an extension, into an experience that you can put in any page, any space. So for example, here, if I go to departments, let's say IT portal, that's Evo's domain. I'll go here. Let's say I want to edit the page and add the org chart widget to this page. Very, very simple to do. So you simply go into the extensions, type in org chart. If this extension is whitelisted for your customer ID, you add it here. And the way it works is very straightforward. So here's by default, it starts on the top of the chain, but you can select the user who you want to start it from. So say in this case, I'm going to choose Evo, put his name in there. And then let's say I want to display the link to the profile, so I can click on the profile of the user, and it'll take me to that user's profile or not. It's up to you. This is kind of how it works natively with LumApps. And then what the behavior is, I want to start the hierarchy from Evo's name. So I choose Evo is going to be top of the hierarchy for this specific IT department. And here I'll see who is reporting up to Evo. And you can even go deeper by number of levels, 1 level, 2 levels, 3 levels. You can go up to 5 levels, and it'll update that display accordingly. And because this is a native LumApps out-of-the-box extension, very simply, you go to Style. Let's say I want to choose some kind of a secondary style that I have in my out of the box environment. Let's say I like the gray, so I choose gray. It updates it to gray. If I want to give it a title, I can give it a title, save, and then you have your org chart for the IT department directly from this page, just like that, displaying, and you can hover over, click on people's names, and it'll take their specific profile. We're actually doing some very exciting modifications to this org chart, right, Ivo? And hopefully, in the next couple of sessions, we'll show you guys what we've done. But it's something we're definitely very excited about, and because it makes your life easier as an admin, if you want to make this experience much more autonomous for your page space admins. Okay, just very briefly who we are, why we're here. As you guys know, we're here to make LumApps simpler, happier experience through experience design, through integrations, and through strategic insights of the product. We come from deep LumApps knowledge, both you and myself on the design side, strategy side, experience side, integration, engineering side. So we're here to help you where it matters. We have over 30, I think 35 now extensions. I have to update it in the marketplace. And you can learn more about our extensions here on the docs site. Simply go to docs.adc.com if you want to learn more. Just like docs.lumens.com, you have docs.adc.com. You can search all of our extensions, search for what fits right for you. Let's say org chart, and then it'll show you all the extensions that we have. And let us know if you have any questions.
Perfect timing, isn't
So ADC Live trivia question, the question of the week, question of the day. So let's go to our LumApps learning development space, and this is where we put the question of the week. So the question is, ready, Ivo? Let's hit that Jeopardy tune. So why create content management roles in LumApps and select all the ones that apply? So is it A, to create a clear division of content ownership? So why do you want to create roles in LumApps? To create clear division of content ownership? And specifically, when we talk about roles, the question here is why create content management roles? Because you can create roles around any sphere, but here the question is more about content management roles. So why do we want to create those? Is it to create a clear division of content ownership across different owners? So comms kind of stays in their lane, marketing stays in their lane, IT, HR, etc. Right? Is it because for content creation autonomy, so that everybody can create content on their own, contribute to the experience, right? And without kind of going to the admins to create content for them? Is it C, streamlining the content management process so that anybody can create the content and make it easy to create the content, right? Simply kind of going in, creating it, and for numerous people at once? Or is it all the above? Ivo, what do you think is the answer? There's one correct option only.
For me, it's always A.
Okay. So let's see. Option A. Okay, so let's see. Submit. This is our advanced survey. Let's see what it says. Submit, and the answer is uh-oh.
Oh, I
this
know.
is this must be the demo effect, the famous demo effect. Let's try one more time.
You have kept your window open for too long, right? So you wanted
Maybe.
to, yeah.
Let's try one more time. Submit. So the correct answer is, so your answer is A. The correct answer is D. All the above. Really, every answer is correct, but all of them above together are really the correct answer. All these are reasons why you create LumApps content management roles. Because you do want to create them for all these reasons. So folks can manage content, they can create content autonomously, they can contribute, proliferate content, right, and stay in their own lanes as they're creating them. So that's the tree of the day. And let's kind of jump into LumApps roles and LumApps governance. So first thing, let me go back into presentation mode. I want to just say at a high level, why is governance and content governing, why is it important? Just as a high level, obviously we want to make sure folks are governing content because if they keep content clean, it's going to improve the search experience. If you're using search, if you're using AI, you're plugging LumApps to your data sources. wrong content in is wrong content out, or as they say, garbage in, garbage out. Same thing here, right? If content is good, folks are managing it, governing it, then it'll produce accurate results. And that's really is going to produce roll into the second point, which is content integrity. Folks are going to trust the content that they're seeing, that they're searching for, and that will lead into improving their experience. Right? They're going to come back. They're going to revisit your platform, and they're going to essentially adopt the platform much better. So governance really is an important point. So I want to kind of go into the technical parts of it. This is kind of the governance hierarchy at a high level. So we have a platform governance, which is really managing all of LumApps' sites. Then we have one level down, which is site governance, and site governance that's governing the entire site, all the full site, which is usually that's the platform admins. Then you have role-based governance, which is really what we're going to talk about. And then you have governance on the space or community level. Then you have individual content governance or content editing on the individual content basis. So because the discussion here really is about roles, we'll talk about roles in a little bit in a bit more depth, um, and what it is, what are some of the options of, and who is more relevant for. So let's look at some of the reasons and why exactly where roles impact LumApps in general. And this is not content only specific. So roles, first of all, you can use roles for a lot of things. There's I think at least 10 things. I'm not going to list all these here, but I'm only going to list the main ones. Um, and the first one is navigation. You can use roles to give somebody navigation autonomy. Folks can come in and create, modify the main navigation. Modules management, folks can manage with roles, directories, user directories or directory entries, like a catalog of links, as Ludo famously says, um, tutorials and other things, which I think they're not really used so frequently. You have site analytics. You can add roles for somebody to view analytics of the entire site. You can also use roles to create global widgets. There's use cases for those as well, to create, manage, delete global widgets for across the site. Metadata management, to manage, to update metadata, create metadata on the entire site. Content management, which is really the goal here, we'll talk about in a second. Segment management. We have a separate ADC live event on segments. I think it's either next week or in 2 weeks from now. I think it's 2 weeks, the first one in November. So if you want to learn about segments, more difference between segments and groups, tune in for that one. I think it's November 12th. And also community management. LumApps has made some improvements here as well with managing communities, creating, editing, creating, and all these other things we'll look at in a second. So, and some of the reasons, kind of good practices with roles. First of all, very important to note, roles are site-based, not platform-based, right? So you create a role for one site, you can only use it for that site and that site only. If you have multiple sites, sometimes what we do is we create site templates for our customers. We bake in certain roles, certain taxonomies, and then you can kind of copy those, and so those kind of carry over to other sites. But you do have to build out roles from a site-to-site basis. So these are all individual site. So obviously, with roles, you want to kind of have a set of groups that will manage roles only, right? For managing roles, you can either have groups that are either segments or Google groups that can be managed in Google, or create manual groups in LumApps to create roles, because one of the main requirements to create roles is really to create a group first. You cannot create a role in LumApps without having a group behind it, as we'll see in a second. We want to obviously define what the purpose of that role is, because if you have a small organization, it might not be as relevant. If you have a large organization, you might want to, it's actually very relevant. So you want to have a strategy that defines the purpose of that role, have a description for that role, and the module LumApps actually allows you to add descriptions, so that you and your admins and future admins can very easily see what the purpose and the function of the role is, and they can modify it and make any updates to it accordingly. And with roles, if you are using roles with metadata to kind of restrict the content management or to modify content management, so you want to make sure your metadata architecture, metadata strategy is kept at a certain degree of high level, so it's not doesn't get too granular, and roles don't start canceling themselves out, because it does get very complicated if you have too many roles and too many metadata mapped to roles, unless it's done well. So now let's go directly into LumApps. Ivo, do you have any? Is there anybody that do you have any questions or any comments so far? I don't think we do. So maybe let's go forward to see whether to look at roles in LumApps directly. Okay, so I have my site. So I'm the admin of this site, let's say, right? And let's say I have a new user, and this user is in comms, and I want to give her the ability to create and manage all or a specific area of corporate communication news. So first of all, if I go into the cogwheel, so I see here all of my content types, and here I have global news. This is the one I'm interested in. So I want to give this new comms user ability to manage this content type. But, and it's important, but I want to limit. So to see here, there's a lot of news here. It's not just it's all sorts of comms news. There's different topics. You can actually filter on all these different things that we have. You have a news type, so you have metadata called news type, and there's all these different types of metadata for different types of news. I don't want this person to manage all the news. The use case for this specific comms person is to manage only news from leadership, specifically from all the blogs that are created by leaders, by Misha, Ivo, and let's say Ariella. So for that, so here's the new user. And right now, this user, if we go here, the user doesn't have much. They only have the ability to manage knowledge-based articles and manage some basic team contents. I want to give them the ability to be able to create and or manage news content specifically for leaders. So I'm going to go as an admin. I'm going to go to my settings, and I want to go here to roles. First, before going to roles, as we said, in order to create roles, you need to have a group to map to the role first. And so we want to make sure there's a group that's available. In my case, let's see, administrators. I want to create a group, so I have different buckets for of groups, departments. Let's say I have one for marketing, and so marketing, aka communications. Let's say marketing communications. I want to add a new user. Let's call them Ariella, and this user is going to now be part of this group. Now, if I'm going to go to roles, I want to create a new role, and this new role, I'll say uh, um, news news creator for leadership for CXOs. So that's going to be named the role, and here I will say that the user will be able to manage, create, and edit global news by Misha, Ivo, and Ariella. Okay, so I have my description for what this role is. Now I want to map it to a group, and we have this marketing group. So I'm going to search for a group here, and we have marketing communications. That's the group we just created. It's a manual group. For roles, usually I like to create manual groups in LumApps directly. This way, I just know, I know that it's very easier. It's easier to manage. I know exactly who I'm putting in, who I'm putting out. So it makes it much simpler for me to manage. In fact, we also have a widget that allows you to manage groups, adding users and removing users from groups as well. So instead of going to the backend office, we have an extension that allows you to add and remove users from groups if needed. So here now I'm going to go to new authorization. I want to create a new role here. And here I want to start setting up actions. So actions, really, we want to define what this role can do. That's the action. If you're admin of a site, that's obviously very familiar terminology for you. So in this action, I want to define precisely what I want to do. I want this user to create contents and manage contents in global news, which is this. So I'm going to say create and edit content. And also separately, because this has a workflow enabled, I'll say I want the user also publish content as well. And let's say archive, I want to also be able to archive content. So I selected this. So now by default, this user will be able to see everything, all the contents that are in this news global news content type. But I actually want to limit that, and I want them to only create and manage contents that are by leaders. So I go to the section called restrictions, and I want to add a restriction. We'll create this pop-up. So here, this is an age-old LumApps feature. Users can manage their own content only. So this is if only I want this user to see and only their content in the back office. It's a good option when you want somebody to really only just focus on their own zone, their own content, and not see a fuller scope of content, right? This is more personalized content feature. Here, then you have visible by. So maybe the use case here could be that you want to limit which groups the user can communicate to, which groups of users, right? So if I by default nothing selected, so if nothing is selected, it simply means that when Ariella is will be creating new news articles, she can choose any group that's available in LumApps, whether it's a LumApps group, a Google group, or a segment created group. You can also restrict it. You can say, hey, you know what? I don't want it to select all. I only want it to focus on one specific group. Let's say, for example, I want this person to create news or announcements for contractors only, right? But not for the entire company. So that there's a use case for that as well. If you want to choose contractors or for a specific region, right? And that user will only be able to create news for that region when they're creating that news. And they'll and conversely, in the back office, they'll also be able to see only contents in the news content type from the back office that also have that visibility group enabled. I want to keep this open because this is a wider role, and so I'm not going to select any group here because I want the group visibility to be for everybody, to be created for this user to create the group visibility for everybody. What I do want to do is I want to select metadata for a news type so that it limits the scope of what this user will be able to see. So I'm going to choose Misha's blog, Ivo's blog, and Ariel's blog, and that's all I want to do. And so now I'm going to do add. It's very important to do save. If you don't do save, it's not going to save your settings. I'm going to do save now. And now when I go back here, role created, I should now see my marketing news creator and editor role, which is this one. And 1 second. I don't, 1 second, let's see. Is it this? Global news. I don't know if it created. 1 second. Must be news created and editor. There it is here. So I had to refresh the page. So now it's there. I see it. Now if I go back to Ariel, so if you remember before, she only had this content type, these two. Now if I refresh the page, I go back to the content types. Now I should see three. Perfect. I see three content types. Now global news. So now if I go to global news, I will see only news that have those metadata selected. So if you see here, if you compare two screens, you will see that in the global news as the admin, I see all the news versus global news as a role-based user who manage their global news destination for CXO's comms. They only see a limited number of contents, which is exactly how roles work. Now let's say we want to take it a step further. So here we have some other roles here. This is for learning, LumApps learning. But let's say I want to add for Ariella also the ability, we trust her very much. And let's say we want to give her the ability to look at analytics, site analytics. So we go back to this same role. We go back to sites, go back to roles. and we added this role. And so here we have global news. So now I want to, let's say, so let's follow the steps to simplify management. Create one role with only one specific authorization instead of multiple authorizations per role. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to follow Lunas' advice, because sometimes things can cancel themselves out if you create too much stuff in one authorization. So let's create a new one. And this one is going to be called, this one is going to be for the main navigation. So let's go back and find the navigation. Global news, navigation. Here it is. And let's say we trust Ariel enough to be able to create an edit, and but not delete. So let's just do that. Let's save, and let's also do a new role for site, a new authorization. This one will be for analytics, and this is for site analytics. So go ahead and select that. We'll save. And now if we go back to Ariel's screen and we go back to the drop downs, now we see for on the site level, you have analytics and you have navigation control. So now she has full control over the site navigation. And also we have some specific site analytics here, which we only had search, but now we have learning analytics. Now we had full site analytics here as well, and this user can go and look at the full content engagement, videos, directory entries, and really everything that that they can do. Roles can also, obviously you can add more roles. There's a lot of Lumas made some updates here. So let's say if I want to add a role for community, so you have community create and edit, or create only but not edit. So these are very important. Obviously, maybe you don't want to. Before it was Lumas had create and edit, but now they create only, so that folks can create communities. Because sometimes you want to give somebody one role to create new communities, but without being a manager of those communities, to kind of keep the governance still restricted to the community governance, restricted to this to the community or space managers, but the creation role to only have the creation capabilities. So this is a good one to have as well. Um, and also we mentioned global widgets, etc. So these are all ways you can create roles, manage roles. Again, the main thing is creating groups, having a good group strategy. Manual creating groups, I suggest manually for roles, or unless you have a good Google group strategy to create those groups in Google. And that's in a nutshell LumApps roles. So if you go back here, and now we'll see that Ariel has more capabilities now, and she can see communities and create new communities as well. Okay, so that's LumApps roles. Um, we would appreciate your feedback. If there's any feedback, please feel free to leave it in our Hive space. If you simply go to, if you're a LUMS customer, you go to the Hive, type in ADC, ADC, and then you'll come to our partner space, ADC partner, and then here we have our survey widget. You can click here, and you can simply take the survey, and then give us feedback what you think, and which other topics you'd like to cover. That's actually very, very helpful for us. Finally, what's next? We have very exciting topics coming up. We have 3 topics. We have LumApps templates and content types. We'll cover all different types of templates, including simple templates and content type management. Then we'll go into mapping custom attributes from your specific identity provider with Evo. So we'll go a little bit deeper. How do you create custom attributes if you're in Google, if you're elsewhere, right? So we'll give you some use cases. This one, very excited about this one as well on November 12th. And then finally, we have the segments section, the segments ADC Live on November 26th. and we'll compare groups to segments, show you how creating segments, some good segment use cases, and giving kind of segments the attention they need, because I think it's a really great add-on that LumApps has added in the past, I think, year and a half now, and hopefully it'll give you guys some good ideas on that as well. Okay, so thank you all very much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Ivo,